Good evening, one and all. I welcome you all to Ganesh IAS Academy. In today's session, we'll be seeing environment-based current affairs from the date February 9th to February 17th, 2024. Let us get into the news articles one by one. The first news that we are going to see is State of the World's Migratory Species Report. So, which organization has released this report? This we have to know, and what are all the key findings of this particular report. Okay, so let us understand all this. So, the first ever State of the World's Migratory Species Report. So, this is the first time that they are releasing such a report, and it was launched by Convention on Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, that is CMS Convention. Okay, where did they do it? At the opening of CMS COP14. COP14 is Conference of Parties 14, and it happened at Samarkand, Uzbekistan. Okay, so this 14th meeting of the Conference of Parties to this convention, that is Convention on the Conservation of Migratory Species of Wild Animals, that is being organized by government of Uzbekistan this year at Samarkand, and it will happen between 12th February to 17th February 2024. So for this report they need a solid data, right? So the report uses robust species data from institutions like BirdLife International, IUCN, and even Living Planet Index. What is this Living Planet Index? It is managed by Zoological Society of London in collaboration with World Wildlife Fund for Nature. Okay, so from this is where the data sets for the report has been obtained. Okay, so now we have to understand the key findings of this particular report. Key findings of the report. The first thing is millions of migratory animals are in serious danger because of anthropogenic pressures. So because of human related pressures, millions of animals are under serious danger. And the best example for this would be monarch butterflies, which are facing the risk of extinction due to habitat loss and increasing carbon emissions due to anthropogenic activities. Okay, that is human induced activities. Moreover, aquatic ecosystems are the worst hit because of this, and then with 97% of the migratory fish listed under CMS are facing the risk of extinction. So the migratory fish are facing the risk of extinction. Okay, moreover 44%, that is 522 species of all the CMS listed species that are there, they are undergoing population declines. Okay, so population decline is observed in 44% of all the species that is listed under CMS. What else do we have to understand, and what are the other key findings of the report? So in general, 1 in 5 CMS species faces the risk of extinction. Okay, moreover 51% of the key biodiversity areas which are important for migratory animals listed under CMS lack protection. So 55% of the key biodiversity areas lack protection of these species. They are mentioned in CMS, but then they lack protection. Moreover, 58% of the monitored sites for these species experience unsustainable human pressure. Again, anthropogenic activities. Okay. Next is lack of coverage under CMS. There are certain animals which are endangered, which are vulnerable, but then they are not covered under CMS. Okay, so 399 threatened species are not included under CMS yet. Okay, so they have to be considered by the convention, and then it has to be included as soon as possible for their conservation. Okay, now what else do we have to know? There are certain success stories that is mentioned in this report. I mean, the positive aspects of the report. What are they? At Okavango Delta of Botswana, fragmented habitats were there, but they were restored by removing fences, thus enabling the movement of Burchell zebra, historically known for migration. These are the Burchell zebras which are historically known for migration, but they were, I mean, the migration was hindered because of certain fences which were there, but they have been removed recently, and thus this is a positive aspect. Okay, next is Alpine Dala Conservation Initiative in Kazakhstan. This played a crucial role by creating a refuge for saiga antelope. Okay, so this is saiga antelope, and the move to revive the steppes and wetland habitats brought the migratory species. These are all also migratory species. So it brought the migratory species back from the verge of extinction. So they have taken efforts to create steppes and then conserve wetlands. So all this have contributed to save these migratory species from the verge of extinction. Okay. Now, what are all the reasons for the decline in migratory species? This we need to know. Okay. One is overexploitation. All of these reasons, like if you analyze these reasons, most of the reasons here are anthropogenic in nature, which means they are human induced. Okay. So overexploitation by humans. Here overexploitation means overexploiting the animal. Okay. Next is habitat loss, degradation and fragmentation. So habitat here is being lost, degraded, and it is also fragmented. Okay. So fragmentation is again a major issue here. Next is agriculture and use of pesticides. Okay. Agriculture and the related activities, moreover use of pesticides in excess also causes problems in certain migratory species. Next is infrastructure development barriers. There are infrastructure development barriers. Okay. For example, dams. We humans are constructing dams for our well-being, to save water for our, for irrigation purposes. But this dam construction is being a big issue or a big threat to certain migratory species. Okay. Next is pollution. There is noise, light and chemical pollution, which is contributing to the problem. Next is climate change. Obviously, climate change is the root cause for many of the problems here, and all these problems contribute to climate change also. Okay, so it is both cause and consequence here. Okay, so this is what we need to know about the reasons for the decline of migratory species. Next is, what are all the key recommendations that has been suggested by this report? First is addressing illegal and unsustainable practices. So illegal and unsustainable practices has to be addressed. Okay, so next is safeguarding critical sites for migratory species. So if a particular site is considered protected, then safeguarding that protected area is very important. Okay, next is focusing on species which are most threatened with extinction. Okay, so there may be certain species which are most threatened with extinction. Such species are to be given utmost importance under CMS. Next is intensifying actions against climate change and pollution. So we must have to take more efforts against climate change and pollution. Okay, next is broadening CMS listing to encompass more endangered species. We already saw there that more than 390 species are yet to be added under CMS list. So broadening CMS listings to encompass more endangered species is also required, and that has been recommended by this report also. Okay. So we are talking a lot about CMS. What is CMS? When have they started this CMS, and what is the objective of the convention? Let us understand all this. So it is an environmental treaty of the United Nations that provides a global platform for the conservation and sustainable use of migratory animals. Okay, so it is there for conservation and sustainable use of migratory animals and their habitat. So it is not only the conservation of the animals, but it is also conservation of their habitat. Only if the habitat is protected, they can thrive in it, right? Next is, it came into force in the year 1979, okay, and it is also known as Bonn Convention. This is very important, okay. So this CMS convention is also called as Bonn Convention, and what is the objective of this convention? It is to address the conservation needs of terrestrial, aquatic and avian migratory species. So this can be asked as a question that CMS covers only aquatic species, only terrestrial species or only avian species. No, it covers all terrestrial, aquatic and migratory species which are facing threats, okay, and also their habitat as we saw already. Next is membership of this convention. At present there are 133 parties or 133 members under this convention from Africa, Central and South America, Asia, Europe and Oceania. And is India a member of this convention? Yes, India is a party to this convention since 1983, okay. And under this convention we have two appendices, okay. So these appendices cover diverse species of terrestrial, aquatic mammals, reptiles, fish, birds and insects. So what are the two appendices, okay? How do we define it? One is appendix 1, that it comprises migratory species which are assessed as being in danger of extinction. So those migratory species which are already being in the danger of extinction are included in appendix 1, okay, and they have to be in the danger of extinction throughout all or a significant portion of their range. This is also important. So if you keenly watch it, then you'll understand that it is not only the species but also its range, its habitat, its distribution. All these are being considered here, okay. Moreover, we have appendix 2. What is it? It covers migratory species that have an unfavorable conservation status and those species which require international agreements for their conservation and management. Those are included in appendix 2, okay. So this is what we need to understand from this report and about the convention. The topic that we are going to discuss now is olive Ridley turtles. What are olive Ridley turtles? Why are they in news again? Let us understand all this. So the Andhra Pradesh government recently imposed a month-long ban on fishing in 5-kilometer radius of Hope Island. Where is this Hope Island located? It is located off the coast of Kakinada, okay. Why? To prevent the death of olive Ridley turtles, okay. Death of olive Ridley turtle is being happened because of excessive fishing in that area. So Andhra Pradesh government has imposed a ban, a month-long ban in this area, okay. 5-kilometer radius of the Hope Island, okay. So now in this news we need to understand what olive Ridley turtle is and what are all the different turtles that we have in India, and we'll also get into the details of where this Hope Island is located, because whenever a species is there in news, its locational features are also asked in exams, okay. So its habitat, its distribution, okay, are there any special features of that species? All these are the different areas that we need to know about a particular animal, a particular species, okay. So olive Ridley turtles, they are the smallest and the most abundant of all the sea turtles, okay. There are many sea turtles and of all those they are the most abundant and they are the smallest. Important to be noted, okay. Next is, it gets its name from the olive green coloration of its carapace. What is carapace? Its shell is called as carapace, okay. So its carapace is olive green in color. That is the reason why it is called as olive Ridley turtle. Moreover, they are best known for their unique mass nesting. You might have come across this particular term, that is aribada. What is aribada? Aribada is the term for mass nesting of olive Ridleys, okay. So here during that aribada, thousands of females come together on the same beach to lay eggs. That mass nesting is called as aribada. Usually this happens near Gahirmata beach of Odisha, okay. This aribada event happens there, okay. Next is, distribution of this olive ridley. Where are they distributed? Where can we find olive ridley turtles? So they are mainly found in warm waters of Pacific, Atlantic and Indian Oceans. And yes, see, Odisha's Gahirmata Marine Sanctuary is known as the world's largest rookery of sea turtles. What is rookery here? Rookery here is colony of breeding animals is called as rookery. So the world's largest rookery of sea turtles is located at Odisha's Gahirmata Marine Sanctuary. Okay. Coming to the conservation status of olive ridley turtles, its IUCN Red List status is vulnerable. Okay. And then Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, under Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, it is placed in Schedule 1, which means utmost protection is given to such animal species. Next is CITES. Under CITES, it is placed in Appendix 1. What is CITES here? Convention on International Trade of Endangered Species of Flora and Fauna. This is CITES. Okay. So even trade of species, trade of animal here, that is the turtle here, is also prohibited. Okay. If it is kept in Appendix 1. Next, there are certain features that we need to know about olive ridley turtle. One is it is omnivorous. Okay. It eats both plant and animals. Next is they are solitary, that is they prefer to be in the open ocean. This is there. Moreover, these turtles spend their entire lives in the ocean and migrate thousands of kilometers between feeding and mating grounds in the course of a year. So in a course of a year, they travel thousands of kilometers between feeding and mating, and maximum time is being spent in the open ocean. Okay. Now we need to know about other turtle types that are there in India. So other sea turtles in India, let us list every one of them and see certain important features and its conservation status, because these are all the area which is asked in question. Okay. So the first one is leatherback turtle. Leatherback turtle. So it is the largest of the sea turtle species, this one. And then where can we find this leatherback turtle? It is found in all oceans except Arctic and Antarctic. So except Arctic and Antarctic Ocean, you can find these leatherback turtles in every other oceans. And then its IUCN status is vulnerable and it is kept under Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act of India. Okay. The next one is loggerhead turtle. This is loggerhead turtle and it is found in Atlantic, Pacific and Indian Oceans, and it is also found in Mediterranean Sea. Very important to be noted here. And then it's vulnerable, its IUCN status is vulnerable and it is kept under Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of India, which means great protection is given to these animals. Next is hawksbill turtle. Its habitat, they have a wide range and it is found predominantly in tropical reefs of Indian, Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. So they are found in the reef regions. Okay. Next is they are critically endangered. So if you notice, the first three that we saw were vulnerable, but this one is critically endangered. So there is a difference. Okay. Among the turtles, some are vulnerable, some are critically endangered, some are endangered and others such. Okay. So you need to distinguish. Next is it is placed in Schedule 1 of the Wildlife Protection Act. Okay. Next is green turtle. Green turtle, it is the only herbivore among the different species of turtles that we have. Okay, only herbivore turtle, that is green turtle, and they are found mainly in tropical as well as subtropical waters. Okay, and its IUCN status is endangered. So here it is endangered, not vulnerable. Okay, and same Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act of 1972 of India. Okay, next is, so these are all the details which we need to know about the turtles that we have. And then when we started, we saw that the ban is imposed near this Hope Island, 5 kilometer radius of this Hope Island. So where is this Hope Island located? Let us see that. So it is a tadpole shaped island. So if you see that, it is shaped like a tadpole. Okay, which is located off the coast of Kakinada, Andhra Pradesh, and it acts as natural barrier from storm surges. That is the reason why it is called as Hope Island, because it serves as a safe haven for travelers. Next is, this island is young and it was formed in the late 18th century by the waters of Koringa River. And where is this Koringa River? This Koringa River is actually a distributary of Godavari River. Okay, and then the area between the Kakinada coast and the Hope Island is known as Kakinada Bay. Okay, so this is the detail that we need to know about the sea turtles and the ban that has been imposed by Andhra Pradesh government. The topic that we are going to discuss now is Cuscuta Dodder. What is this Cuscuta Dodder? Let us understand this in detail. An invasive weed, Cuscuta Dodder, is slowly choking Chengalpat forest and Vedantangal bird sanctuary, threatening local vegetation, ecology and habitat of migratory birds. Okay, so it is threatening local vegetation, ecology and habitat of migratory birds. What is it? It is an invasive weed. So it is an invasive weed which is native to North America, and it is a rootless parasitic vine. So it is a vine variety and it is rootless and it is a parasite, which means it lives depending on other animal or other plant species here. Okay, so it has been observed that dodder covering the canopy of Barringtonia trees. What are these Barringtonia trees special for? These are the favored nesting spots of the migratory water birds. So when the favored nesting spots of the migratory water birds are going to be disturbed by these invasive weed, then it is a great threat to such migratory birds. Okay, so this is what we need to know, and there are more details about this weed. It is a holoparasitic plant. So it is a holoparasitic. What does it mean? That is, it derives all of its fixed carbon from the host plant. Okay, here the host plant is any tree or some other crop. Okay, so they are going to extract all its fixed carbon from the host plant. Such plants are called as holoparasitic plant, and then it forms a canopy on the host plant. Okay, say for example, if this is the tree, this is the existing tree, and these weed will form a canopy of this tree. Okay, that region is called as canopy. Okay, and it sends out numerous tendrils. These are the tendrils that it sends out, and it creates a dense mass that eventually chokes and kills the host. So here the host is killed because of the huge mass of dendrils. So this is what is happening, and then the host plant or the native plant is being killed. Okay, and dodder has been designated as declared noxious weed in 25 countries where the importation of its seeds and plant material is prohibited. So in these 25 countries, importation of the dodder's seed and plant material is prohibited because it is declared a noxious weed. And then this Cuscuta seeds are spheroid in shape, spherical in shape. Okay, and then it has a tough coat. Okay, just because it is having this tough coat, it is able to survive up to 50 years in dry storage condition and at least 10 years in the field. And this Cuscuta can germinate without the need of specific stimulant, unlike root parasites. Okay, there are certain root parasites which need a stimulant to germinate, but these Cuscuta seeds do not need such stimulant to germinate. Okay, so that is the reason why they are increasing in number. Now we saw that it is happening near Vedantangal bird sanctuary. So from environment topic, from this point of view, we need to know about the bird sanctuary also. Okay, so it is a 30-hectare protected area which is situated in Chengalpattu district of Tamil Nadu, and it is the oldest water bird sanctuary in the country. Okay, And then there are, the area is habitat for numerous migratory species like pintail, garganey, grey wagtail, blue-winged teal, and common sandpiper. So, see here you need to be aware of these names also. Sometimes the questions might go like this: pintail, blue-winged teal. It has winged, so you might get a hint. Okay, so consider these two. Pigtail and common sandpiper are what? This may be a question. Okay, so they are bird species. This is how the questions are asked. Next is, since 2022 it has been recognized as protected Ramsar site. This is also important, that Vedantangal is a Ramsar site since 2022. Okay, so this is what we need to know from this particular topic. The topic that we are going to discuss now is UN World Restoration Flagships. So, what is this UN World Restoration Flagships? Let us understand. The United Nations has recognized 7 initiatives from regions spanning Africa, Latin America, and Mediterranean and the Southeast Asia as World Restoration Flagships. So, 7 initiatives of different regions of the world has been recognized as World Restoration Flagships. So here we need to understand about the initiative, its objective, and what are all the 7 initiatives, the details of the 7 initiatives. Okay, so what is the aim or the objective of this initiative, this flagship initiative? That is to revive those ecosystems which are on the brink of degradation. So reviving the ecosystem which are at the brink of degradation is the primary objective here. Together with that, holding promise for environmental conservation and socio-economic development is also another objective. And then the combined efforts of these initiatives are projected to restore approximately 40 million hectares of land and also generate 5 lakh employment opportunities. Okay, so this is the impact that this initiative will create. Okay, so that is the reason why socio-economic development perspective is also given here. That is, it is creating employment opportunity, which means socio-economic development is happening. Okay, next is about these flagships. So World Restoration Flagships are actually part of UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration. What is this UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration? Actually, this decade, that is 21 to 30, 2021 to 2030 has been declared as UN Decade on Ecosystem Restoration, and it was declared by UN General Assembly. Okay, and this restoration, this flagship program is being led by UNEP, that is United Nations Environment Program, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of United Nations. And then it aims to prevent, halt, and reverse the degradation of ecosystems. So they are going to prevent, halt, and reverse the degradation of ecosystem on every terrestrial and in every aquatic ecosystem. Okay, so in every continent and in every oceans. Moreover, UN also recognizes the World Restoration Flagship through an award. Okay, so if there is a recipient to this award, then they will be eligible for technical and financial assistance from UN, United Nations Organization. Okay, now let us understand the 7 initiatives one by one. The first initiative here is Restoring Mediterranean Forest Initiative. Okay, so what is this? It involves countries like Lebanon, Morocco, Tunisia, and Turkey. Okay, and around 2 million hectares of forest have been restored since 2017. So this initiative started in 2017 and now it has been included under this flagship programs. Okay, and what is its aim? Its aim is to restore 8 million hectares of degraded land by the year 2030. Okay, next is Living Indus Initiative, the second initiative or the second flagships. Okay, flagship. One is that it is approved by Pakistan Parliament post 2022 climate change induced floods. After the climate change induced floods in Pakistan, the Pakistan Parliament has approved this, and then it aims to restore 25 million hectares of the Indus River basin by 2030. So this is the aim here. And then this is interesting that it designates Indus River as a living entity with rights. So here the river itself is considered as a living entity with all rights, and a measure, such a measure is taken by other countries also for conservation purposes. Okay. Now the third initiative is Action Andina Social Movement. What is this movement? It is led by a non-profit organization, that is Andean Ecosystem Association, and it aims to protect and restore 1 million hectares of Andean forest. Okay, so where is this Andean forest is located? They are type of tropical and subtropical forest which grow along the slopes of the Andes mountain. Okay, those forests which grow along the slopes of Andes mountains is called as Andean forest. Where is it located? It is in South America. And then this initiative also works to secure land titles for local communities as well as protect the forest from mining and timber exploitation activities. Okay, now the fourth initiative here is Sri Lanka Mangrove Regeneration Initiative. So it is obviously by Sri Lanka, and it is a science-driven program which is co-led by local communities, and it focuses restoration of natural balance in the ecosystem. And since its inception in 2015, the efforts have led to 500 hectares of mangrove restoration. So 500 hectares of mangrove has been restored. And what is the aim for 2030? So it targets restoration of 10,000 hectares of mangroves by the year 2030. So this is the aim for 2030. Now we are moving to the fifth flagship program, that is Terai Arc Landscape Initiative. This is by Nepal and India. Okay, so it is aimed to restore the forest of critical corridors of TAL. What is TAL? Terai Arc Landscape, in collaboration with the local communities. Okay, so this TAL spans 810 kilometers, 810 kilometer stretch between river Yamuna and river Bagmati. River Yamuna in the west and river Bagmati in the east. And then it comprises Shivalik hills of India and the adjoining Babar areas and the Terai floodplains. Okay, and it covers parts of Indian states like Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, and other low-lying hills of Nepal. So Nepal and then these three states of India, that is Uttarakhand, Uttar Pradesh, and Bihar, is covered here. And then it supports tiger population also. Okay, moreover, the aim here is to restore 350,000 hectares of the forest by the year 2030. Okay, what is the initiative? Terai Arc Landscape Initiative. So this is the region which is called as Terai Arc Landscape. So you can see Uttarakhand is covered, Uttar Pradesh is covered, a part of Bihar is covered, and then the low-lying areas of Nepal is covered. Okay, so the Shivalik, Babar areas, and then the Terai floodplains are covered here. Next is the sixth initiative, Regreening Africa's Agriculture. This is the sixth flagship. It increases carbon storage, boosts crop and grass yields, makes soil more resilient by preventing floods, and treats soil with fixed nitrogen which acts as a natural fertilizer. So the focus here is on agriculture, regreening agriculture, better practices in agriculture. Next is Growing Forest in Africa's Drylands Initiative. This is again focused on Africa. So it aims to expand restoration from 41,000 to 229,000 hectares by the year 2030. So this is the target here, and it involves African farmers. What will they do? They will be planting tens of millions of trees annually. That is how they are going to achieve this. That is Growing Forest in Africa's Dryland Initiative. Okay, next is it creates over 230,000 jobs. So employment opportunity is generated, thus supporting sustainable development. So these are all the 7 flagship programs that has been recognized by United Nations. Okay, so this is what we need to know from this particular news article. With this, we have come to end of today's session. I hope you found the session to be very useful and informative. Let us see in the next session. Thank you all.